One second.
I didn't expect that one. I didn't expect that one. They're saying the Via.
Wow, you're right. Whooper can learn Ice Punch. That's weird.
Anyway, did you guys hear about President Rose?
I heard he turned himself in to the police.
Wait, what did he do?
He tried to destroy the world.
That sure seems to happen a lot these days.
Yeah, there was Cyrus, Lysander, Maxie, Getsis.
I don't know if I'd put Maxie in with those other guys.
What? Why not? He was the leader of Team Magma.
And?
Team Magma thought there was too much water. They tried to evaporate the ocean
It would have ruined the scenery.
and killed a lot of people.
Wow, Buffett! I know, but what if he had a point?
Excuse me?
Maybe Team Magma's plan wasn't that bad an idea.
What are you saying, Meowth?
I'm saying, maybe there is too much water.
No!
You can't just say Hoenn has too much water. That's a really sensitive topic.
Come on, Jimmy, half the place is ocean routes.
It's part of Hoen's culture!
If Hoen's culture means getting my fur soaking wet just to get to Moss Deep City, then maybe it should get dried up.
You're sympathizing with a genocidal terrorist.
Who are we to talk? We're part of a criminal organization too.
But we don't kill people!
We just steal people's Pokemon.
One specific Pokemon, really.
And we don't even do that particularly well.
Look, all I'm saying is if I siphoned one more wild Wingull or Tentacool, I am going to go primate shit.
Language, Meowth!
You can't silence me! Maxie did nothing wrong!
You can't say that! People are going to be really upset.
Team Magma was completely justified! All the water in Hoenn should be gone! And if that means all the people have to die, then I will poisonally go to Hoenn and I will—
Nice going, Meowth.
Your hate speech got our Spotify contract cancelled.
Now our finances are in trouble.
And we can't feed more Pecco, so make it double.
I was gonna give Hoenn a 7.8 out of 10.
Shut
It's actually not bad.
Ah, Buffett!
It's actually fairly decent, actually.
Experience those moments, and then there's nothing else after that. I mean, in jobs, no way you're gonna have that thrill. It doesn't matter. I just got a huge deal yesterday, actually, but it's months in the making, and suddenly I get an email where it says, "Okay, we'll do
Congrats.
it." Well, great, thank you very much.
Oh,
you know.
I know, yeah.
But there's no way. I mean, there's gonna be any thrill. So that's a pity, but that's the way it is, and just got to look back after that. I mean, in jobs, it's just so lucky and just so amazing, and always keep the book there in the next to you where those memories are kept, so you can from time to time look back at those pictures. And that is the challenge for all of us after sports, because it's just so damn extreme.
Mm-hmm.
And then after sports, it's gone, and it goes away. And to get used to that new life where that's not there anymore, it's a challenge for all of us, yeah, which we need to go through.
Yeah.
But fine, that's the way it is. Just takes a bit of time.
It's a good perspective though when you say, like, at least you look back on it with, it was a privilege, and it was amazing to have at least have had an opportunity to live that life and to do it. So, and it's never going to last forever. But yeah, if you look back with it on that positive take as opposed to the negative of, oh, I'm never going to get that again, then I think that's half your battle.
Yeah. They're never going to get that again remains though. Okay, Monaco 2016. No, what the hell? Oh damn! So this is another tough moment. Monaco 2016.
Yeah.
You got. I wouldn't.
I'm smiling now.
No, but no. 18 is the one you smile about. 16 you're not smiling
Yeah,
about.
exactly.
16.
I said, yeah, I'm smiling now. I wasn't there.
Okay. Yeah. So Barcelona. I don't know if I'm allowed to use the word shafted, but I think you got a bit shafted by your team there, and the little young kid from the block got benefited with strategy. So Verstappen got his first win, and then you go to Monaco, and you're leading the race. Easy win, and then you get robbed by bad luck or whatever because the team messes up the pit stop.
Mm-hmm.
How do you deal with a situation like that? Two such extreme races, setbacks, horrible. I mean, it's like pure darkness, isn't it? How do you deal with that in those moments?
I think having him back to back, that was tough. I'd never really had that I guess, gone through that experience before, and we went winless in 2015. So, 2016 would come in, Barcelona, we're in that position thanks to you guys. But yeah, we were leading the whole race really from lap 1 after that safety car. And
I was 2 seconds a lap slower than you, by the way.
You were?
I was right behind you.
In Barcelona?
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
Wrong race.
Oh, sorry.
No, forget about
Monaco.
No. Barcelona, I cleared the way for you.
But yeah, so Barcelona happened, and I was obviously massively upset because I felt a win was lost through strategy. So I came into Monaco with a bit of a chip on my shoulder, I guess, and yeah, the weekend was dominant. My first ever pole in F1, so that was a massive moment. And I think to do it in Monaco is unique. And then the race, it started wet. And any street circuit in the wet it normally spells chaos. Like, especially if you're on pole and you got pole in the dry, you don't want to wake up to rain on Sunday morning. It's the truth. You just don't want it. So already Sunday morning, I was like, all right, we got a few curveballs, but I'm good. I'll be right.
So you try and see the positives.
Yeah. And I was like, it's just going to test me, but I'll figure it out. And so through the wet, the first phase of the race, I was actually doing quite well, holding my own, and then pit stop, tires weren't ready, and that's when Lewis got the lead and won the race. So I guess it was the first time in my whole career actually that I'd left before the debrief.
Oh, really?
So like after media, I went straight back home, and I didn't feel like seeing or speaking to anyone, and I knew it wasn't going to be productive as well. That's when Lewis got the go and throw a table or something isn't useful. And
Have you done that?
I haven't. Well, I don't think so. No, I haven't. But also, I wasn't interested in the sympathy. I knew people were going to come up and say I'm so sorry, but I just needed to be on my own. So that was tough. Yeah, I don't know. It hurt. It hurt because I think and with racing, unfortunately, there's so many variables, and as a driver, you can prepare as well as you can. And there's races where I'm sure you felt it. You rock up to a race weekend knowing you are in the best condition of your life, and you might have a terrible weekend for reasons unknown or for things out of your control. And that's where it's hard because it's like, yeah, what do I have to do to kind of get this thing going? But fortunately, I'm positive. And once I let the emotion kind of pass, I looked back on the weekend and I was like, it was a massively positive weekend. I was the fastest. I got my first pole. So bring the positives with me to Montreal and leave the negatives for the team to kind of sort out.
And that's just with time and because naturally you tend to be a positive person, yeah? So you're able to focus on those positives with time always, yeah? That's a big strength, huh, I guess. Time
definitely heals most things, and I had family with me. I had some friends here for that weekend, and they help. I think sometimes being on your own is nice, and sometimes you need your own space. But in terms of getting picked up, I think having close friends helps. And I had some friends from Perth who were here that weekend, and yeah, they helped me rally through it. So and also I've always had that kind of mindset that it could be worse, and even a bad day for me that day was a second place in Monaco. Like one of the worst days of my life was a second place in Monaco. So I also I never want to seem like ungrateful or spoiled. I know the competitor in me will show the frustration, but I think the human in me will always appreciate the position I'm in and try and see that perspective.
So it did get worse. Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan.
You're pushing me. I won't break.
No, but it's important to go into these
absolutely,
as well as the really beautiful moments, to also go into the tough moments, because also for everybody who's listening, the tough moments in sport, in your words, actually, you also said racing at the top is absolutely brutal, and it's especially because of those tough moments as well.
Yeah.
So Azerbaijan now, you're racing Max. And you're at fault primarily. I'm not sure if that was the conclusion, but that's my opinion anyways. And take him out. And so it's I know all about.
Oh, wait, your opinion is I took him out?
Sorry?
Your opinion is I took him out?
My opinion is that you were more at fault. Was that not the conclusion?
this podcast is finished.
No, but anyways, this was my opinion that
No,
you
no.
more percentage on your side, whatever.
It's all good.
Whatever, and not important. Long time ago, but okay. So both cars go out, and then how let's actually maybe on this one. I mean, for you, it's going to be super tough again. Personally, I think similar to Monaco. Did you feel also letting down your team in that moment, being such a tough thing to cope with?
Yeah, it was tough because I felt the whole race. I didn't feel the whole race had been managed well. You know, like Max and I were battling, and as far as teammates go, we're battling too hard. And I was surprised that the team didn't kind of put a stop to it. You know, I felt like I was giving enough room, but a lot of the time, you know, he was kind of coming up into me and banging wheels and that. And I'm all like, I like tough racing and that. It's fun and it's cool and it keeps you going. But I felt like at times, again, because we were teammates, I was like, why isn't the team addressing this? And I also, maybe it's something I should have done different, but I've never been one to come on the radio and complain too much and be like, oh, he hit me, like, what's he doing? And because I'm a racer and I respect the tough racing, but I felt like the team should have addressed it. So then they pitted me first, so I finally got past him. Then they pitted me first, but it was like one of the only tracks in the year where pitting first is not stronger. You know, the overcut works, so staying out longer. You know, because the tires are so slow to warm up on such a smooth surface. So they pit me first, and I was kind of confused. And then, so naturally, he pits after, comes out back in front of me.
Sucks.
And I'm like, guys, we're gonna have the same scenario again. So I might have said like, is he gonna let me pass or something? Because I was leading before the pit. And
let's just say the truth. You said get him the hell out of the way now.
Pretty much. And then my engineer, I remember him saying like, no, like, you've got to pass him again. And I was like, you know what? I had no intention, obviously, of crashing, but I was not surprised. So when I went for it, so I went to do like the kind of dummy. So I moved out. I saw him move out. So I went back in. So at that point there was space, and then he's kind of made that second move in. And I'm like, I was like, that space is now gone. And then there was no way for me to pull out of it. So I was just angry, I guess, at that initial moment. I really didn't feel sorry for anyone. I just felt anger, how it was kind of all managed, I guess. But then the days that followed, yeah, of course, I felt sorry for the team and for it's more the, you know, obviously all the parts we damaged in that crash. You know, I felt sorry for the people that spent hours putting, you know, those parts together and making them perfect, and we've just gone and disintegrated them.
I actually had to pay for my parts.
Did you?
At the time.
We
I guess it didn't take you to that point.
Not the parts. We did a little bit, but it was.
Oh, you had to pay as well?
There was a little like.
Oh, interesting.
Kind of apology gift for everyone.
Okay.
But
so
then
that's how the team managed it. Apology gift, and also
yeah, and then we addressed
the factory together.
We addressed the factory
together, hand in hand.
Yeah. So, yeah. So we went. When was it? It would have been probably like midweek after the race. We were in Milton Keynes, and we, everyone like for their post-race debrief, and Max and I were along for that, and you know that actually felt good to kind of address everyone, and I guess to apologize for whether I think it was all my fault or his fault or the team's fault. I think as a man and in the position we're in, we have to address it, and I think it's always better speaking to people face to face than over message or over the phone, and that was
I'm super lucky.
Yeah, but it just I guess it didn't sit that well with me how it was kind of handled, but that's just what you get when you got two young, well, he's younger, but two young determined drivers. You know, you get whatever, you get pride, you get egos in the way, and these things can happen. So good times. Well done, Baku. Well done.
Okay, let's go to redemption. Come on. So your greatest race, I guess. Monaco 2018, would you say? The most beautiful and or one of the most beautiful and greatest races?
The outcome, yes, absolutely. The race itself actually sucked. You know, I hated nearly every lap because I had the issue from, I think, lap 28 of about 78, so 50 laps.
Unbelievable.
That's what I thought. And as soon as I felt this loss of power, again, I'd done everything I needed to that weekend, and I just put myself in the right position to win. And then I came out of the casino square, and I felt something. And I don't know if I necessarily felt the lack of power yet, but I heard that I knew something was wrong. And then I pulled out of the hairpin, Mirabeau, is it? Whatever. And then I don't know the names of the corners. Lives. And I felt a loss of power, and I just came on the radio and I told the guys, and it wasn't anger, it was actually just devastation. And I thought, when you start losing power, you think it's going to keep dropping until the engine's done. But yeah, I got through a few more laps, and I asked the engineer, I said, is it going to get better? He goes, no. And then I was like, oh. So I was like, I got to deal with this now for something 50 odd laps.
Did you manage to pull some positives from that moment again? No, at this time, no.
So
not always possible.
No, actually, for a few laps, I was, let's say, pretty negative and pretty down. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to keep Seb behind me. I'm like, we're already a bit of a power deficit on the straights.
Horrible moments.
And now we've got 160 horsepower less.
Horrible.
And I was just like, there's no way. And then probably 5 laps passed, and I could see I was actually staying afloat, and he was getting bloody close. But I was like, if I get this clean, if I get that corner clean, that exit, I reckon I'll be able to defend. And fortunately, Monaco's tight. So then my confidence came back, and I kind of grew confidence through the rest of the race. And I got to a point probably in my head, I told myself, if I get to 20 laps to go without still being in the lead, I said, I'm not losing this race. So that was my like mini target. I said, get to 20 laps to go. So then I remember getting to that point. I was like, no one's taking this. And then, yeah.
Wow, amazing how you built yourself up through that.
Yeah, it was a process.
Did you have to change all the brake balances as well? Like brake balance massively forwards? Because I know, because I had this in 2014. This is your first race win.
Yeah.
Me?
I said, I'm not losing this race.
Unfortunately, you did better than me, because I lost out to you, and you actually won it.
In your defense, there was longer straights on Montreal, so you had a bit more time to bleed.
Yeah, but my car was also 3 times quicker than your Red Bull in 2008.
I'll take it.
Imagine that in Monaco. Brake balance probably 5% forwards.
Yeah.
In Monaco.
A lot of lifting and coasting.
Massive lift and coast because you're burning so much more fuel.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that takes some adapting in this horrible high pressure distraught moment. That's impressive.
Yeah, it was, and you know what? At the time, I probably because I had so much going on, I wasn't aware of how much I was needing to manage, and it was only after the race and after that weekend where the team. And I could see like my engineer, he was literally like, he had no, and this is no disrespect to him, but with all the problems we had during that race, he had no belief that we were going to win. So when I saw his face after, I kind of realized that I'd done something pretty great to get it to the line, like to even finish. They're like, we don't even know how you got it home. So I don't want to blow smoke, but just, I didn't realize it because you're just so focused and you're in it, and you're constantly dealing and adapting lap after lap. But when I saw the emotion on the team, I realized that what we'd done was pretty awesome. I'll say we, I won't say I said what we done. That's better.
Your engineer, when he was speaking to you during those first 5 laps of really tough, did you feel his disappointment as well? Like he thought it was the end?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That makes it even more tough though, doesn't it?
Yes.
In that moment, because you just feel his disappointment, and he's like, the message is bringing across, this is over.
Yes, and I think that's what he thought as well. So I think you probably agree, like a lot of the time, your engineer feeds off you and you feed off your engineer.
Exactly, massive communication importance there, emotionally.
Yes, absolutely.
I agree totally.
And that's, so when I said, is the problem going to get fixed or better? And then he said, no, it isn't. And the tone he said, no, it isn't, I knew. I was like, this is done. But then, as I said, once we started doing a few more laps, and I would start to maybe pick up my radio communication, then I could tell his tone of voice was getting a bit more positive. And then by the end, I remember with a few laps to go, I think he said, all right, you got like 4 laps to go. Like, you're doing awesome. And he gave me like an instruction, and I just said, mate, I got this, buddy. And I just gave him that kind of closure, and that I'm good, and to leave me the F alone.
Awesome.
Because I want the next few laps by myself.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I actually did a lot of work on this with my engineer, because I'd had the same engineer for 10 of my 11 F1 years, always the same engineer.
Whoa.
Yeah, so my first year and my last year was the same engineer all the way through.
That's
and
pretty
I did a
special.
lot of work with him on this because he was also always so real to me. When he was disappointed on the pit wall and had no more hope, he would show it
felt
to
it.
me immediately on the radio. And we did a lot of work together that I was explaining to him how important it is for him to, whatever happens, keep fiery and keep positive and keep pushing me and keep optimistic. And he also there changed so much, and that was really powerful, even for my last year in F1 then. He would always keep building me up in like crucial moments.
Yeah.
So that was really really
powerful.
cool progress. Yeah, so powerful.
And I don't
And-
think they realize it until
No,
you
exactly.
address it. But
Well, they often forget that we're human beings in the car.
And it's
they
lonely.
think we're an extension of their lines on the computer. No, I'm serious. Very
that's
often
true.
the engineers who are mathematical geniuses, they think
very
we're just
true.
extensions of those lines that they see on their computers, and forget that we actually have emotions in that car, and we're sometimes have fear and worries and self-doubt and all of that. So that's also something that is important to try and remind them from time to time. You've
Yeah.
had those same experiences, though.
Absolutely, it's so true, and that's been a challenge actually this year. Is so I worked with Simon for all my Red Bull years, so that was I think 5 years, and now this year at Renault I got a new engineer. So that's kind of underestimated as well, is how important that relationship is, and not only him being smart enough to engineer the car, but that communication and getting to know each other's language, and again knowing when to pick each other up and showing confidence and showing fight. So that's been a process, but it's been really cool, and it's powerful. Your engineer it has to be your best friend.
Oh shit! I'm sorry. Now I forgot my track here. An engineer has to be your best friend. Yeah, of course. That's we'll cut that out. Best. Yeah. That will leave it. Best overtaker. Come on, we'll go to that. You're the honey badger of Formula One. You're the best overtaker. This is just you having learned to go in and attack into those difficult situations just full on and not be fearful, because you know that that's where you get the most opportunities, the chance to improve. Right, that's a bit your new learned approach, right?
Yeah, that was actually, I wanted to touch on it earlier when we discussed the honey badger, and the reason as well for me like putting myself out there and changing my approach with the racing and being aggressive was there was too many times throughout my whole career where I would leave the track on a Sunday night feeling sorry for myself and basically leaving with regrets. If only I tried that. If only I did that, the gap was there. I should have done it. Why didn't I try? And I was constantly like going through that, and it felt terrible. And I felt like I wasn't doing it justice, myself or people that were supporting me. So I kind of just made, also when I guess adopted the honey badger, I kind of made that pact to myself that I would rather try and fail, so try and potentially crash, than not try at all. I can live with myself so much better if I have a go. And I think also the people around me, unless I'm being reckless, they're going to respect me. So, and then it kind of, once I started getting it, then, your confidence builds and you have confidence to keep
That's so
doing
cool.
it. And it feels good. It feels great. And, I did fail a few times, but it was so much better than just sitting behind someone the whole race and being hesitant to pull the trigger, because you get nothing from that, unless you're in the last race fighting for a championship, and that's a different scenario, but it's not. It's so much more fulfilling going for it and leaving it all out there, because I guess why else? I know it doesn't really make sense any other way, really.
Let's go for a Michael Jordan quote. I know he was on your kids' room's wall. And
Yeah.
he was a big inspiration to you. And the quote from him is, "You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take."
Yeah,
That's a cool
exactly.
quote.
Really cool.
So come on, everybody, let's go for it.
Really cool.
Let's take those shots.
Yeah,
Right?
and I encourage that with anyone, and that's obviously in a racing term and him in basketball reference, but it can be with anything, and even like my friends, when I see that, and you got to be careful, but sometimes I'm just like, I want to say it how it is, and if some of my friends aren't happy with their life or their job or what they're doing, I'm just like, well, what's the point? Like, why are you still doing this? Like, what are you afraid of? And just go for it, try. And if you fail, who cares? Like, some of my friends have talked about maybe leaving Perth and traveling abroad and finding a job and whatever. And I'm like, or if you travel and it doesn't work and you don't find a job that works or you love, you got nothing to lose. You're going to have so much experience from the traveling that you won't go home with your tail between your legs. Like you'll be fulfilled in some way or another. And yeah, I guess it's just important that like we only do get, sorry, I'm going a bit deep, but we do only get like one chance at all this. It's like, for me, it just seems silly not to make the most of it and at least try be something or do something than just exist.
That's an awesome life approach, and I'll give you some credit at this point. Whenever you would appear in my rear view mirrors,
Yeah.
it would be the most non-nice feeling, because I know
That's my plan.
I know I was at the highest risk of anybody else to lose my position now,
Yeah.
and to succumb to an attempt at a crazy lunge, which usually works for you. So I'll give you credit for that.
Thanks. Budapest 2015. It didn't work well for us.
Yeah,
But that was, I was pretty far back.
Yeah.
I
so
hadn't
that
had a podium in a
that
while.
ended with me in a puncture, but I'll probably take most of the blame myself. But anyway, it ended with me in a puncture and you breaking your front wing a little bit, but you still finished third. So I'll give you credit for that. I'll be honest now, that's the feeling I always had when I saw you behind.
All right.
I was like, oh no, not him again. Come on, couldn't it be anybody else?
Thanks for your honesty.
But now actually, so I think there might be something where I can give you a little piece of advice because I'm not racing anymore. So
Go for it.
whenever you overtake 70, and I'm doing this as a thank you for let's see if I can thank you for taking the time and also for extracting all these cool lessons for all of us who are listening. Whenever you do overtake and you go for lunges, very often 75% of the time you do lock up the front inside,
Yeah.
which is something that is a little imperfection still in that.
Sure.
Do you, question, what I learned in my career was whenever you kind of know you're going to go for the lunge already quite early,
You have to-
or the possibility is there.
Yeah.
So you
As a
probably-
world champion, you
probably
can't
start
say
to
anything.
know because it's lap after lap, you start analyzing and you know the lunge is coming.
Mm-hmm.
With the distance from the last corner, you know, okay, this lap it's going to be it. I learned to flick my brake balance rearwards and ramp up the engine braking at the beginning of that straight
Mm-hmm.
for the very high eventuality that I'm going to go for that lunge.
Yeah.
And that is a huge improvement for not locking up that front inside and just gives you that even more capacity to go in deep and make the pass stick and not run wide. Do you do that?
Not. That's. Thanks for the number. That's good for me to know. we don't have to put this on. We could just keep it to ourselves. But you know, to be honest, I don't always do it because sometimes. But you know, we don't have to. That's. Thanks for the number. Not. That's. Thanks for the number. That's good for me to know. we don't have to put this on. We could just keep it to ourselves. But you know, to be honest, I don't always do it because sometimes I haven't been doing it long enough that it's habit yet. So sometimes in the heat of battle, I forget to do it. So it's not something I always do.
You haven't been doing lunges long enough?
No. yeah,
I remember in my memory it's 2 per race. What are you waiting for?
No, sorry. Not long. When I say long enough, the brake balance thing.
okay,
yeah.
okay,
So
okay.
I wasn't doing this back in the day. No.
Okay.
So
And on the engine brake.
the engine braking I wasn't.
Because
so
that's the one that gives you the very, very late big improvement
Okay.
on rearward engine brake, which is the one you need most. Because the
Thank you.
very, very last one.
thanks.
Don't worry, anybody. No one else
Well,
from F1 is listening to this, so it's just pure
Well,
advice
I'm
to
gonna
you.
need it now because certainly the strength of the Red Bull was definitely in that phase, and currently with the Renault it has been a bit trickier to be more precise on the braking and that, so it's gonna help me out. Thanks.
Okay, so
if
it
you
was
see
worth a try.
some good lunges in the next few races, then you can give yourself a shout out.
So these small details, this one gave me the world championship because in my pass on Max Verstappen in Abu Dhabi,
Yes, I was going to bring that up.
and if I would have had the slightest lock on the front tire, I would have run into Max and lost my front wing because we were right next to each other,
Yeah.
and I lunged from
It was
20 meters back or something crazy, something like that. But I knew at the beginning of that straight, I'm going for the lunge today. Now didn't have a choice anyways because my engineer said on my ear in the not so confident tone this time because the championship was at stake. Nico, if you don't try and pass Max now, you're going to lose the championship. So I knew I was going for it anyways. went for the 2 settings changes, and it just stuck. It stuck so beautifully.
It was clean. I remember
Not
watching it.
not the slightest lock up on the front, and that gave me the championship. If I locked up, I was in max, because he doesn't leave you any 5 centimeters too much. I mean, he will he will squeeze to the minimum. So that was one of those small details where I can also just always encourage to really focus on the small steps.
And was that something that you learnt over time, or an engineer?
No,
or
this
just
is,
through.
I really always try to improve so much in every single possible area, and this was one area, maximizing the use of settings for all the different circumstances, even a qualifying lap from corner to corner, or going for lunges, or whatever other circumstances are, like race starts, optimizing settings for every single situation, because they're so damn powerful. It's like you can transform the car, and every situation requires a different car. A different car setting, setup, handling, which you can totally achieve with your settings. So for all those different circumstances.
It's one thing I've noticed in past years is watching onboards, Mercedes drivers make more switches than anyone else, for sure. Yeah. Is the car that hard to drive?
Okay, where are we going into? Let's go. You had some awesome teammates, Seb Max. I don't want to. I want to avoid using the asking you the usual journalist questions, because I know that they just suck. But of course, for the listener, that's really interesting. Maybe especially in the way of what can we learn from those guys? What did you pick out from Seb? You destroyed him, if I may say, in my words, and you're the only guy in the world for now to have destroyed him in that way. Leclerc now has a chance at the moment, it seems. Let's see how it goes, but he could have turned into an upper hand similar to the one you had, maybe, but you really destroyed him. But was there anything anyways that you were able to learn from Seb? I mean, you were really young, you came into the team. What was he doing amazingly, because he's a 4-time world champion at the time?
Yeah, I was excited for that challenge and the on-track challenge, but also to see how he worked off track. And I think a lot of attention to detail. You know, I think he lives and breathes racing. In terms of, I felt he didn't have many other hobbies. You know, it was pretty much racing, and he was really
a world champ.
Just absorbed a lot by it. So just time with
We roll to green and we're racing at Barber Motorsports Park. Palou cuts across, keeps the lead. Maluka's behind him. Graham Rahal slotting in nicely. And it looks as though everybody is down through turn 1 cleanly. Small puff of dust as someone runs a touch wide, and Kirkwood going wide 2 by 2 with Graham Rahal.
Kyle Kirkwood thought he might have a chance on Graham Rahal, but he got really squirrely on the outside. It'll be Rahal in 3rd, Kirkwood in 4th.
Fanning out 3 wide through 2 and 3, and through turn 5 we see Scott Dixon in the middle there, but Kirkwood side by side with Rahal as they head down to turn 8.
Rahal will have the inside line going down through the chicane. Kirkwood sees position, slots in behind him.
And crucially, Kirkwood's on those softer red sidewalled Firestones. He's got more grip. Graham Rahal on the harder tire, the primary tire. He wants to get around the Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing driver as quickly as he can to utilize. He's right on board now with Kirkwood thanks to J.M. Bullion as he is hunting down Rahal.
A replay here on board with Kirkwood. That is Graham Rahal alongside us.
This is through,
little touch.
Through 2 and 3 there. Graham is opening his hands up saying, I don't think so, chum. We're gonna stay here in P3. You can settle into P4.
Yeah, good luck with the outside line there, kid. I've been doing this a while.
Romain Grosjean, so fast and aggressive in qualifying, down 2 places, and Scott McLaughlin looked up on the inside of the ECR there, and McLaughlin takes a place and moves up past Alexander Rossi and into 12th. Rossi, though, trying to make the move back, looks up the inside, but McLaughlin has it covered.
Ericsson is under huge pressure from Lundgaard, a big mover as well. Lundgaard looks to the outside of 5 and crosses up.
Gets underneath him, almost contact as they come out of 5. A lovely move, though. Clear. From Lundgaard, sold the dummy high, took the position low. That papaya and black car It looks aggressive, it looks fast, and he's all over him now on the run down towards 5. Lundgaard looks up the inside of Santino Ferrucci. Will be late on the brakes, has the position. Can Ferrucci get past on the exit? I don't think so. It's another place and another position for Christian Lundgaard.
Ericsson under pressure here. Grosjean trying to make a move on the outside of turn 5. We got a great view of it here.
And that's 2 positions lost for Marcus Ericsson at the same corner in the last 2 laps. Last time round it was Newgarden, and this time round it's Grosjean.
Graham Rahal, this is how he got around David Malukas down into turn 5. He's motoring right now.
So where is the red advantage that we were suggested before the start? Newgarden's already pitted from the reds. Palou looks unstoppable, frankly, almost a 5-second gap on the hard black tire up ahead.
Malukas must have made a mistake. His last lap was a 1 minute 11.0. Rahal's a 109.3. McLaughlin on the soft tyre, Ferrucci's on the hard. McLaughlin should have the pace advantage. Slides to the inside. Ferrucci too late to even think about closing the door, and that's another position for Scott McLaughlin.
Not quite yet as Ferrucci decides to challenge to the outside, but he'll...
I think a lot of attention to detail. You know, I think he lives and breathes racing in terms of, I felt he didn't have many other hobbies. You know, it was pretty much racing, and he was really just absorbed a lot by it. So just time with the engineers, and also he had a good way of communicating. I think he was firm, but not disrespectful, you know. So he would tell if something wasn't good enough, he would say, it's not good enough, we can do better. But it was in a way which, yeah, it got the message across, and it was, as I said, firm, but he was direct, but still kind, still shook everyone's hand. Like, yeah, there was just, he had a good balance, I guess. And so, yeah, probably just the work ethic, impressive. And with Max, I think, you know, one thing I definitely saw and realize and understand is it definitely helps. Proud of myself when I didn't think I could, and he probably could say the same, you know, and I really think that we pushed each other more and more and got that extra 2/10 that sometimes we didn't think was there. So, you know, with Max, one thing, he was just quick out of the box as well, like FP1 first lap, just go. Like, there wasn't much of a feeling out process. I think he drives on a lot of probably just instinct, and he just goes. So, yeah, there wasn't much of a building up and, you know, a new track, kind of feeling it and getting the tyres in. So he's still, I guess, technical, but he's probably got less. I think Seb, much more of a sensitive driver, a lot more sensors in his body to kind of communicate with the car, where Max drives probably more off instinct and raw talent.
It seems a bit like the Michael Schumacher-Lewis Hamilton comparison for me. It's very, very similar.
Yeah.
It's Michael Schumacher is very similar to Seb. The details.
Maybe it's a German thing.
Possibly actually, yeah. The team communication, the leadership, you know, really driving everybody in the same direction as a leader as well. Really, really cool to see with Michael. And Lewis is just similar to what you said about Max. Just much more that unbelievable raw talent, and less so of the whole calculated, rational working ethic, details, things like that. It's there as well, but not to the extent. I guess that's maybe quite similar. So who's quicker, Seb, Max? If you had to pick one on one lap, single lap, straight out the box.
Yeah, Max.
Correct.
Yeah. And that's, look, I won't take anything away from Seb. Like, Seb is not slow by any means. But I would say on raw speed, probably more as well, because Max is still young. And I think if he's quick now, he's probably only going to get quicker, where Seb's been doing it that long. I think you'll always improve as a driver, but there's probably less room to grow for Seb, and there's more for Max. So, yeah, I'd say that. If Seb's listening, sorry, Seb. You're still a badass. It's all right.
Change is terrifying, you said. But you still learn in life that's where you get the most excitement and the most growth for yourself in life. And is that also one of the reasons then why you went for this huge in your words, one of the biggest life changes ever, and life decisions, no? To go from Red Bull to Renault?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one thing I guess I've learned over time and with, I guess in all aspects through my sport, but in general with life, and I think it's important to evolve. I think it's a nice word, because evolve as a person, evolve as an athlete, whatever, to kind of constantly grow and try to push yourself. And I felt at Red Bull, I guess I didn't feel like I could do much more. You know, it was fairly limited, and the window was kind of closing. I was working, you know, with the same people for quite a while now, and we'd been obviously trying to get to that world title, but we kept coming up short. And yeah, I felt like it was probably just a little bit of in a way, routine sometimes, and I just felt I needed something else to also switch my mindset and to, in a way, force me to grow and evolve. And that was really a big part of the reason to move and to switch it up. So yeah, it was for sure like scary, because it was a bit of an unknown, of course, but I haven't looked back, and as soon as I made the decision, I felt like it was the right thing, and I knew it wasn't going to be easy, and I know now there's still a lot of work to do, but personally already I feel really fulfilled. And even so far this year, I feel the work I'm putting in and my attention to detail, like I'm getting more out of myself. So I can't argue with that.
So would you say maybe that you've learned to the importance of pushing yourself into discomfort and pushing yourself to grow brings you more happiness as well? Is that what you've learned for your life?
Yeah, I think so, you know, and does it mean I'm happy, you know, running around in 8th or something? No, I'll only be completely happy when I'm winning. But that sense of absolutely like fulfillment and leaving a race weekend with, I don't know, just a bit more of a, yeah, because even sometimes like a podium, I mean, podiums are great, but, you know, I don't know, sometimes even on a podium I'll be like, could I have done more? Could I have done better maybe? And then, I don't know, I guess now, even if it's not a great result on paper, I feel like, wow, okay, I worked really well with the team. We got the car from here to here, still not